So remember when you wanted to clone yourself and grow your business, and AI was supposed to be that clone, and it started messing everything up you spent years perfecting? Well, here's the thing, right? When you're running a business, your expertise is your edge. But right now, AI makes a lot of stuff up, like Gemini generated those historically inaccurate images, or that AI response suggesting adding glue to the pizza dough to make it a bit more sticky, or it just reads like a corporate robot. None of that is acceptable, especially when your reputation is on the line. So we've built a system that you can just copy step by step that clones your business expertise and automates it. Just imagine having 10 copies of yourself, each one handling clients exactly like you would. So watch over my shoulder as I create the entire system from scratch, and you can build yours at the same time. It's learned from your data, your emails, your tweets, your web content, or any other content you want to throw at it. Then it delivers responses that sound exactly like you wrote them. We're doing this using a no-code tool and a system called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. And don't let the name scare you. It's nothing more than a system that is only trained on your content. And how a RAG works, it just takes the data you give it, splits it up into bite-sized chunks, and it will only refer to those bite-sized chunks for its answer. So it won't hallucinate or start making up stuff like most LLMs do. And before we dive into it, I have one small ask. I've noticed that a lot of people who are watching our channel are not subscribed, and it really, really helps us grow and to be more productive and to make more, better automations and ones that are cutting edge. That's what we're aiming for. And in return, I will make sure that every time I post a video, it will be the best of the best of the best. So every time it's going to be better. That's my promise to you. So I can't tell you how much it would help if you could hit that like and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into it and start automating this together. So the first thing is I'm going to show you how you can build this automation. And in order to do so, we need to make a database. And for this, we're going to use Google Sheets. So I'll be showing you how to use this in the following step. First, let's make a database. So in order to do that, open a new tab, give it sheets.new. If you type that in, you will be taken to a new sheet for Google Sheets. Give it a name. I'm going to call it RAG Content Machine Upsert Data. And to upsert means to create, or if it already exists, to update something. So we need to create two tables, and I am going to call the first one, I'm just going to call this one here query. And then after that, I'm going to make another one, clicking here on the plus, and I'm going to call this one data set. Now, back to query. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put query in here, query, and then after that, I'm going to put response. So what this does is I'm going to ask my question here. So I will make a LinkedIn post, create a tweet, write a blog post, set up an email. It can do all that based on your RAG. So these are the first fields that I need. And what I need to do next, I always like doing this in case I have loads and loads of data in there, which I will have later on. I'm going to select A and B, and then I'm going to go up to format, convert to a table. Now, I'm just going to ignore that. It will look like this now. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So I've got we'll get rid of that one. So I'm going to put my question in here, and then it will come up with a response on that side automatically. So you don't actually have to use make later on. You just use your Google Sheets. Now, for the second part, we need to have a data set. We need to give this, so we're going to give this one source content archived. Let me just add here, do not edit. And then I would like to have a number, so an ID. So I'm going to give it UUID. Now, I'm going to select all four of these. I'm going to do the same as I did just now. I'm going to go to format, convert to table. This field, I'd like to make it or turn it into a checkbox. So anything in here will be checked. Later on, when the data will be received, you will see that everything will start checking off when it's in there. And will you start using for your RAG, it will only retrieve content from the items which have been checked. So the one last thing I have to do here to add this little formula equals sequence, and then I'm going to say count, and the count A, so I'm going to count the number of values in a data set, and then I'd like to count everything in here. So I'm going to say from, not the header because it has a header, I'm going to say B2 and then the rest of the column, so that will be colon B, and I'm going to close the bracket and then close the whole sub. So here we go. It will say number error, but as soon as there will be content in here, it will give it a number. Okay, so that's your database setup in full. On to the next part. Now we have the database set up. The next part is that we're going to start connecting on your database onto the automation. So we're going to start building the automation. This is what it looks like, and I am going to show you step by step how to do this. First thing you need to do, you need to go to make.com. This is it. If you don't have an account, just create it top right, 1,000 free runs a month. After that, log in and you will be taken to your account. And the first thing you do is create a scenario. So top right, you click on create a scenario. You will be taken into a screen that looks something like this. Okay, the first thing we need to do, remember we're trying to connect this database on. Yep. So I'm going to grab the items from the data set. Sorry, I'm just going to remove them. I'm going to grab the items, so source, content, etc., from the data set, and I'm going to use that to build my RAG. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Google Sheets, and then I'm going to say search for a row. I don't need the advanced, just the rows. So I'm going to connect my account on. I've got multiple accounts in here. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to find my ID. So that's the name of my automation. So if I just type it in at the top here, RAG, that's the one, content machine. And then what I need to do, I need to grab the data set, and then what I need to say here is A through Z, and then it'll start loading. And then after that, I type in, I do not edit. This is the one. I'm trying to map the stuff from the archived. And I'm going to put in here false. So if it's equal to false, it will not carry out. Order ascending. Now, that's it for the first module. Now, the next thing you need to do, I'm just going to call this, I'm going to grab this title, just going to give it a name, and then I'm going to save it. Oh, my value must not be empty. I just had to hit OK. I forgot to hit OK. The next thing we need to do is we need to combine the data that's coming out of these items. So I'm going to do tools, and then I'm going to say set multiple variables. Let me just move that up. I'm going to add an item. I'm going to say complete row, and then the variable name is going to be source equals, and I'm going to put content equals. So I just need to map them. So this would be source, and then the next one would be content. I hit OK. And I'm going to move this one down. It looks a little nicer. To rename it, just right click it, then give it a name, hit OK. I'm going to say set variable combined source and content. So I'll grab those two fields and it will turn it into one item. Now I'm going to try and sanitize the text. I'm going to add a module here, and I'm going to grab another tools. Then I'm going to go for set multiple variables again. Excuse me. Now we have a little bit of code. JSON safe string is what I'm going to put in. Now we have a little bit of code. Thanks a lot for the Automation Brothers for this one. This is the code. I will leave this in the link down below for you to copy. You can just remove these X's I have here, because that's where you're going to have to map a field from a previous step. And in this case, it's complete row. I'm going to say OK. So for now, I've got the database set up. It's grabbing the items from content and from source. It's combining them. It's sending them off to here. And now it's going through this whole complicated piece of code. Now, this is the next, pretty much where the magic is going to happen. I'm going to talk to ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask it to grab an API, make an API call. Now, I'm going to put this one over here. Then I'm going to go down to URL. I'm going to put in v1 embeddings. That's what I'm going to put in. v1//embedding. Now, the method is going to be post. And then I just need to scroll down a little. And then when I get to body, I need to put this piece of code in. So I'm going to say input, and then I'm going to map the X's. I will leave this one down below as well to the JSON strings from the previous step. And then I hit OK. So now I have full module set up. Let me rename these as well. So this one I'm going to call Sanitize Text, and this one I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this one Embed Vector. So the next step is that we need to have Pinecone, and Pinecone is where all the data is going to be stored. I think it's up to 2 gig for free. I have a free account as well. Our storage, 2 gig for free. I've got a couple of demos in here, so I'm just going to show you how you can make this. Give it a name. So I'll give it a test name. I'm just going to call it Demo Alex. So I head into Pinecone, and then I'm going to say create an index. So I'm just going to call it Demo Alex. Then I head down to dimensions. Type in 1536. This is just how OpenAI works. They need a cosine, and this is how the vector database works. So I'm putting in 1536, and then I'm just going to scroll down, just leave that AWS, create an index. Now you will see that this has a name here. I'm going to just copy this one, and I'll show you what you need to do in the next step. So back to make. I'm going to hit Pinecone here. Pinecone, get a vector. I have my Pinecone here. This is a one I did previously just to test this automation. But in order to connect it, you need to hit add. And I'm just going to call it the same as I did here. So I'm going to call it Demo Alex. Demo Alex, you call it whatever you want. Index name. So this is why I copied. Remember when I was in here, I copied this. Yep. And then I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to take off .io. So I'm going to take the HTTPS off as well. Now, you will need to have an API key, and in order to do so, you go over back to Pinecone, click on API keys, give it a new name. I'm going to call it, what was it? Demo Alex, and I'm going to say create a key, and there is my new key. So I'm going to copy that one, and I'm going to throw it in here. And then I hit save, and it should be connected. Start loading. Oh, sorry, I need to take Pinecone off as well. So hit save, and then it'll load, and there it is. Now, vector ID. Remember, we set the ID here. So this column here is the ID. That's the one that I want to map. So I'm going to go and try and map that one. That would be vector ID there. Namespace, don't need that. Okay, done. Next, I need another Pinecone. And instead of getting a vector, I am going to go upsert a vector this time. I'm going to drag that one down. Now, what I need to map here, I'm on Demo Alex, so that's the right account, Demo Alex. Next thing I need to do, I need to get the vector ID. Just like the previous step, I need to map that one to the vector ID, which was this one. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Values, and I'm going to hit add. Now, this is where I needed to trigger the automation previously. So I'm just going to hit OK. I need to go back to here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say run this module, run this module only. I just go 1, 2, 3. I only just need the responses to come out of here. So I delete, sorry. And then I go back to the Pinecone, and then I'm going to go for the value. Now you see, now it has a lot more data that's coming out of this module over here. So what I need to have data. Where is it? Body data is what I'm looking for. Body data embedding. That's the one that I'm trying to put in there. Now I'm going to scroll. I'm going to leave the rest as it is. I'm going to scroll down to metadata. First thing I need to put in here is title. So in the key, I'm going to put title. Then I'm going to put in string. And then what is the value going to be? The value of this one is going to be that number again. Title, string, ID. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that same step. I'm going to put content string, and then I'm grabbing the value from the JSON, that one. The final one is that I want to have a unique hash, also a string. This is where a little bit of magic happens. And again, thanks to the Automation Brothers for this. So the value here is going to be SHA256. This is a cryptographic coding turning anything into a line of 250 characters. And that's sort of like one part of your RAG. So it will only retrieve data from 256 characters. You're turning everything into, you could say, a page of a book, and it will only refer to that page of a book. So let's carry on. What I need to have here, I need to have complete row. So I need to have the word. I'm mapping the one previous, and then I'm going to close this one off. I'm going to hit OK. So I mapped the one from, let me just have a look. Let me have a look. I mapped this one from the Sanitize text. We'd like to add one final step because we're trying to push everything back to that Google Sheet that we have over here. I am going to go and grab another Google Sheet. I'm then going to say update a row, let it load, grab my account. So that's the right account. I'm going to grab that same one. What's the ID? It's called RAG. Oh, there you go. It's grab that one. Then I need to grab the sheet name, which is going to be data set. Now I need to have a row number. So that would be the original row here from the original sheet at the beginning. So this row number is going to be the same as that one. Otherwise, it will not update that same row. So we're saying we're going to put something in here, and then the output will be put, oh, sorry, wrong one. We're going to put something in here, and then the response is going to be there. So row number, I'm going to go scroll to the beginning, I'm going to say a row number. Let me move this up so you can see it properly. Sorry, row number. Does it contain headers? Well, yeah, yes, it does. It does. The only one I want to put here is true. And then I'm going to hit OK. So that's the first part of the automation setup. I will show you the second part. And after that, I will show you how you can make a scraper for LinkedIn, for Twitter, for a website. And I'll show you how you can add that into your data set over here. Let's carry on. So now let me explain part B of this complete automation for the RAG system for the content machine. This is what we're going to be building. This actually can be found straight in our school community. And what we always do, we have very detailed notes with every module that we publish. So I'll tell you exactly where you have to go, what you have to do, where you have to get stuff. First thing you do when you download, if you don't want to build it yourself and you just want to head over to our community, you can just download this automation, upload it straight into your Make, and then you just have to connect on your webhooks and your own accounts. Everything is explained in detail, like we put little notes where to do everything and what it does. So this just helps you along and know it. Okay, so what we're first going to do, we're going to make a webhook. I'm just going to copy this name because what I want to do, I need to head over to my make.com account and then I'm going to go to scenarios. I'm going to say create a new scenario. Create a new scenario. I'm just going to give it a name and then I'm going to save it from here. This is, for me, this is quite an important part because I sometimes just close down my window without saving it. So first thing that we needed to do, we have that blank database with the query sheet and the data set sheet. What we need to do next is, first of all, we need to connect on the webhook. And to be able to connect a webhook in your Google Sheets, you will need to have an extension, a Chrome extension. So I will leave the link to that Chrome extension. We're not affiliated. It's free to use. Just go to that link. It's called Google Workspace Marketplace. And then it's called Make for Google Sheets. You need to install this. I already have it installed. So that's why it says uninstall there. Once you have it installed, you need to go to the following extensions here at the bottom, and go Make for Google Sheets, and go to settings. It's permissions to run, so I'm just going to give it permissions, saying allow, and now it should be working now. On the side, you get a little pop-up saying where you have to put your URL in. I'm just going to show you how to format this. So I'm going to head back to my make.com account. And the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to go Google Sheets, watch for changes. There we go, watch changes. So I need to create a webhook here. I'm just going to say add. I'm going to give it a so I can see my webhook address here. I just say copy. I go back to my Google Sheets and I paste the URL here. Now, what I need to do next, I need to put in the word query here. So what I'm doing, mapping this one here, query. And then what do I want to map? I want to map everything from here. So that would be number 2 in column A. So I'm going to say A2 through A, let's say 10,000. That's it. That's all we have to do. Now, every time something gets put in here, it will push it straight to make. Only if we have this one switched on to immediately. So I'm going to say immediately. When it starts running, then, so when you put data in there, it will run by itself. Next thing we need to do is to add ChatGPT on. So I'm going to go for OpenAI, create a completion. I'm going to go for that one. So I was like putting like the modules up and down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say my OpenAI account. If you don't have an account, well, you should have by now, but just click add and then follow the steps here, add your API key. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go for 1.0 model system latest. I'm just need to let this load. And once it's done that, I'm just going to talk to a developer and then I'm going to put this in. Your task is to define the search terms for the text provided. Please output as JSON format, and then it will tell you here in brackets search term. The next thing we need to give it is that actually the text that's coming from module or the first module that we put in. So I'm going to talk to a user and then I'm going to map. I'm going to go for a row. Let me just type it in. Row of value, and then I need to grab A. So I need to map everything that's in column A. So that will be everything that's in here. Everything from A. That's what I'm mapping. I just realized I have got the wrong model here. I need the GPT. That's the one, sorry. Excuse me for that. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down again, and then what I need to do, I need to put this on advanced, and then I need to put this, make sure that this is on automatic, so auto. And then this is the important part. So we're trying to get all the data from here turned into JSON. So I'm going to drop down this one, I'm going to say JSON object. Now, after that, I just scroll down. Don't need to do any other ones. I always like to just rename mine. So I just right click in the middle here, rename, let me just call it search terms. There we go. I'm going to rename this one as well. Webhook watches for query. So I have those. I'm going to save that. Now I need a couple more modules. Plus, I'm going to put this down here and then I'm going to go to OpenAI. And then I just type in the word API. I'm going to make an API call. So just like we did in the previous step, the method is going to be post. Then I scroll down. Then I know I need to go down to body. I'm just going to add this text. So the import, and then I'm going to map the result from the previous step. So I'm going to say for results search. That would be that one. Let it save. I'm going to save this whole thing. Level. I have 3 modules set up. And this one I also rename and call it convert to embed. Now, next step is that we need to talk to our Pinecone again. So I'm going to go plus, I'm going to go Pinecone. There we go. So from here, I need to query a vector. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to zoom out. So I've got a nice pattern here. There's an auto align button at the bottom here, and it just makes it a lot more clearer for everyone. I just like putting my stuff like this. So Pinecone, what I do, query a vector. What I need to do next, I'm going to grab the name for our connection. So that was Alex demo. Now, next thing I need to do is switch this one on, and I'm going to map something. So I'm grabbing something from a previous step. So I'm going to go for body data from the previous step. So that's the one I'm going to put in. And then I scroll down a little and I say include metadata. and then I'm going to save it. So we have 4 modules set up. So we'd like to have an aggregator at the next step, but in order to do so, I'd like to rename this one. So I'm going to rename. I'm just going to call it searches vector database. So I'm going to leave it at that. What I'd like to have next, I'd like to have an aggregator, flow controller. I'd like to have an array aggregator. I'm going to put this one down here. Then the model I'm going to use is, I'm going to go search vector database. It's going to search in there. And then what I want to do, I want to go for vector ID. So when I say hit save now, it should put a gray bar around that. So it'll just repeat until it's done within those 2 modules. Now it's going to give you a little error, this little 1 at the end. That's because an aggregator cannot be the endpoint of your automation. So it's just going to give you a little error there. Just ignore that for now. Now, in the previous steps, we've turned it into a JSON, and I'd like to have that JSON turned back into legible text. So I'm going to go and I'm going to hit JSON. I'm just going to type in JSON here, and then I'm going to say transform to JSON. There we go, that one up there, and then I'm going to grab the array from the previous step. So everything is gone through here. It will turn back into legible text. We've got 2 modules left, one being a ChatGPT module, and then we need to send everything back to our Google Sheet. So I'm going to say open AI, and I'm going to go create a chat completion. Let me just put that down here. Zoom out a little so you can see everything. There we go. I'm just going to let it load. Choose this model, and I'm going to go for 4.0 latest system. Now, I'm going to say something to the system. I'm going to add a role. I'm going to talk to the developer and the system. And then I'm going to, you are a helpful content assistant. You will assist with copywriting based on the user query and provided knowledge base. So that's what I'm going to give it. And after that, I just want to add one more little message. I'm going to add a user. I'm going to put in question here. Question equals. And then I'm going to map the row values from our original one. So let me just have a look. Row, where are you? Row values, and I'm going to say A. So again, everything that's in this row here. Now, next thing I'd like to do, sorry, I need to add one more little thing. Knowledge base equals, and I'm going to say JSON string. So it's grabbing the first part and then the JSON string, and then I just leave it at that. Tokens are fine, and now we need to get all the content that we just put through this automation. We need to send it back, so it needs to go back to our response here. So we're going to update a row, and in order to do that, I need to update row B. I'm going to hit the plus again. I'm going to go for Sheets, then Google Sheets. I'm going to say update a row. There it is. Put that one up there, and then open it. Let me just have a look. I connect on my right sheet, and then it will automatically go to sheet ID. So it knows that in the previous step you had a Google Sheet. Now the sheet name that I want to map back to is called, let me just query. I need to grab the row start from the original one. There we go. Does it contain headers? Yes, it does. And then we need to map one last thing with the results for here. There we go. So we're just saying everything that you've come up with here, here's your results, put it back into our final sheet. So that's it for this. Oh, I haven't saved it. Final thing is always just to save it. Oh, sheet name, sorry. Somehow it's errored. So I'm going to go for query. And then where am I saying it needs to go to result, and then that's it. Next, I'm going to show you how we can use scrapers like Instagram scraper, LinkedIn scraper, Twitter, website, and YouTube scrapers, and all utilizing Apify, I think it is. And that's a free scraper tool or API connection tool that we can just log into, and you get quite a lot of free credits on these accounts. So you can do this part for free. Let's build them. So congratulations on having the first 2 parts of your automation done. Well, actually 3. So you've got your database, you've got your first part of the content machine, so that upsert data, and then you've got the second part, the content machine query rag. So you've got those two parts. Now you'll have your database, which is completely empty now. So what we need to do is we need to start filling this. So in order to do that, we've built a couple of scraping tools. All of these can be found in our school community. I'm just going to grab one just for demo purposes. We have an Instagram, a LinkedIn, Twitter, website, and a YouTube scraper. I'm going to grab our website scraper just for this demo. So the way we've built this is as follows. We're going for a basic trigger. That's this one here. So this is our basic trigger, and we've set it up as our name is URL, and then the value is going to be, well, whatever website you want to, your personal website. So you put your personal website. Let me just grab mine, make it no code. There's our personal website or our business website. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to hit save. Now what this is going to do, it's going to talk to a third party, and in this case we are going for Appify. So let me just show you how this works. So I'm going to go to appify.com. I'm going to create an account there, and then I'm going to look for website scraper. So website content crawler. So the content that the code that we need from here can be found under this little button called JSON. What I usually do, I just put in, I test it always with just a URL, see if it works. I'm just going to replace it with XXX. And then I'm going to go to JSON, and I see that my XXX is here. The reason I do that is just to be able to find it a little bit easier in the next step. So I'm going to go select all, copy, then I'm going to go back to my automation, and then I'm going to open my scrape site. I'm going to paste it in here, and then I see my 3 X's at the bottom. That could also just be that Leonardo, docs.leonardo that I had before. Now I'm going to remove this 3 X's, and I'm going to map it to URL. So now every time it runs, it will just grab the new URL. You don't need to add any other thing, just let that run. We've added a couple of notes here. We've added a note here where the URL is, where you can get this exact scraper from. After that, what it does, we're going to grab the data set from the previous step, so default dataset ID, and then what it's going to do is it's going to grab the JSON. So this part here is being set up, was being exported as a JSON, and then we're going to grab that JSON file. I'm going to say maximum of 100 items to be returned. So a lot of pages have a lot of underlying pages. You just add them in here, how many you want scraped. Let's say 10 here. I'm going to say save, and then I'm going to say what URL. So this is a scrape single URL, and what we're doing, we're just asking the URL, which is a response from the previous step, to be mapped in here. So you can see it here. There's a URL. So that's what we're mapping. Now after that, it's just going to say add a row. So we're asking, like we did in the previous step, we're saying create a Google Sheet, update a sheet, and then we're telling the sheet to update, in this case, sheet name, and then what does it have to do? It has to map. Let's have a look. It will map A, and we put in web page here. If this was a YouTube, you'd put YouTube here, and that would actually result, the word web page would be put here, and the content that is scraped will be in there. So our automation is running in the background now. I'm going to trigger our YouTube automation, our Instagram automation, our blog automation, our school automation, our email automation, and I'm even going to trigger our Twitter automation. So next time I come back to hopefully when I get into my document, it should all be populated. I go back to my Google Sheets, and I can actually see that it started loading here. So when I go to my query, I can actually put a question here. I'm going to say, I'm just going to say, write a blog on, I don't know. This is very generic. Yeah, it's just all about the tone of voice and writing like the data that it's trained on. So I'm just going to say that. And then all I do is just wait now, and the automation is running in the background as we speak. In a couple of seconds, it will respond with a new response to what I've been asking it. There you go. It's come up with Here you go. It's actually written the whole SEO article for me. Unleash the power of AI automation to transform your business. This is literally how we speak on our website. So that's why it's come up with this tone of voice. Why AI automation matters, the key questions, the benefits. It's writing all of that based on all the content that we've just given it. So this is how powerful this tool is. And this is just for us, it's just the endpoint, as in, is it a Google Sheet? But this could be taken so much further. And we are going to be focusing a lot more on RAG automations, or RAG as a system, and automations that go along with this. I hope you see how powerful this is. I hope your mind's blown, because this is the future. And I hope to see you on the next video. And until then, bye-bye.